Bet. Well, if you want, we can maybe snake draft this thing,
Okay,
kind of pinball. But
I'm with it.
the obvious answer is going to be John Morant.
Okay.
Right. I think he's low hanging fruit. I don't believe in all of the discourse around him and his personality, only because I don't know him and I don't want to assume the worst about who he is as a person and about his character. I
Okay.
don't think that the basketball fit works necessarily in Memphis. And I just think that he is a guy who desperately needs a change of scenery.
Yeah.
I think he's still the same John Morant, particularly when he's healthy. But if you just get him in another environment with a coach who can re-energize him and empower him to be who he is, I think that we may see a different kind of John, or at
A
least
different job.
him going back to who he originally was when he came into the league.
So, to your point, I have mixed feelings about Ja, but I do think he needs a change of scenery as well. One, I didn't like the firing of their coach. I don't know where that
Yeah,
came about. Now, I do understand that when front office has certain feels about certain things, they can just say, I don't care what this team is looking like. I have my agenda. This is what we're going to do. And that happens in the
right.
real world in business. We've seen it at jobs. It happens in general, not just the NBA. Now, my only issue that I have with Ja is how he has responded and how he's been in the media. So I can't speak for off the court stuff. I know he's had those issues. I don't want to bring that up, right? Hopefully he's changed from that behavior. We'll move past that. Um, but my issue is how he's responding in the media and how he's going about those things. But again, he's young. Hopefully he can figure that out. But it seems to me that I don't like is he's moving with this nonchalantness of like if
Mm,
hey, I'm young, people are always going to need me, which, quite frankly, people do.
kind of an entitled
But
attitude.
but people will only tolerate that for so long, and because he has to be careful because he hasn't been healthy. So when you aren't available, how long is organizations going to be willing to tolerate that? Now, the NBA is such a players' league.
Right.
They would tolerate some of that a lot longer than what an NFL team would, because you can have an All-Pro guy and they're like, "We're done." But Zion Williamson, for example, he's one person that I'm like, why is the Pelicans hanging on to this individual? You have a young tandem in Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears. I believe you can push that narrative, push that forward, and see what they can become. And sometimes, like what has happened with a player at a place, just has ran its course. And
Yeah,
I
I agree
think
with
kind
that.
of that's my feel about Ja. I think he needs to change his scenery, but if he doesn't do some internal work where it's like, hey, let me make sure my image is clean. Let me make sure how I'm responding to the media is crisp and on point. Because if I continue to act this nonchalantness that I don't care, right? How
Eventually, I'll turn someone off.
how does this mess with my brain? Especially when other younger guys are coming in and you look at this draft class, eventually they will try to push your name out. And I don't want to see that for Ja. Ja is too
Mm,
talented. We know how skilled he is, and I don't want to see that happen to him. But I'm with you on
that's
that one.
valid.
With Ja.
That's valid.
Yeah. Someone I have on mind, which is kind of in direct correlation of where the trade rumors have been about with Ja going to Miami, but I think Khalil Ware. I would like to see him have a change of scenery.
It's a
Not a
good call.
star, but I think he's a great young piece who can go to a team and play efficient.
Yeah.
Now, I'll give you some stats with Khalil. He's averaging basically 12 points, 11.7. He's shooting 54% from the field, 42 from the three, 81 from the free throw, and then he's averaging 10 rebounds. In games he hasn't played, they've been 500.
Mm,
Now, the issue that I keep hearing that Spo has talked about is his professionalism.
I saw that.
Now I appreciate Spo and what he's doing in that organization. They've always been top notch and first class organization. And to be quite honest, I don't know if that organization is always a good fit for every single player.
Right.
I do believe fit and all of that matters. And sometimes the style of how you're coaching someone or leading someone needs to be different for a certain player. Same like how the Patriots, right? Is going to these football analogies, but
It's a great
everyone
analogy.
couldn't play in that Patriot system. Doesn't mean you're a bad player, but the system doesn't fit that playing style. And I think Miami Heat is one of those organizations where that how their style of play is, how they coach, how they develop, how they lead, they're not changing that because that is what has made them successful. So he's one person that man I would love to see have a change of scenery because I think he's a 20 and 10 guy that just kind of in the system right now that just want to allow him to do it. It's almost like Michael Beasley. He didn't come in with
Mm,
the talent of Michael Beasley, but I mean the data doesn't
the
lie.
potential is overwhelming.
The potential is there. He's a 7 footer. He crashes the boards. He's getting you points.
Mm,
And I just think it
I
may
like
just
that.
take a different approach from a coach in a front office environment. But that is no knocking against Miami. I just think the fit isn't there for wherever he is. But I do like if he's coaching him hard and if he's sending him on the bench because of certain things that may not deal with the game, then that's him trying to develop him as a man. But we know in the NBA they don't care about. To me, it seems like they don't care about that. To be honest with you, it's about what you're doing on the court. So hopefully they may do something with him. If not, he's going to have to figure it out quick.
Yeah, well, I certainly I second that idea around Khalil Ware and around his personal and player development. I agree with you. It doesn't feel like it's as prioritized as it used to be, and I think that would be a healthy segue into another conversation related to grassroots development at a later point in our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But correlated to why maybe Khalil Ware and John Morant also need a new change of scenery, I think it's also Paolo Banchero. Not for the
Mm-hmm.
exact same reasons, but I think
Yeah.
that the relationship has ran its course, as you had mentioned
Mm-hmm.
before. Um, the rumblings around his name and around him being put in trade rumors has gotten louder and louder in Orlando.
Yeah.
And I think that he's somebody just stylistically, man, needs a new environment. He is a
Yeah.
heliocentric basketball player who he needs to be the focal point of your offense. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the direction that Orlando was looking to go anymore. You know,
No.
that period of time that they had with him sitting out and they had the success that they had and the improvement statistically and analytically that they had really showed them a glimpse into what the future could look like as a Franz Wagner led team coupled with Desmond Bain and now this budding star Anthony Black.
Ma'am.
So
He's
they
on
are
his way.
faster, stronger. Yeah, they're quicker.
Mm-hmm.
They defend, better. I think that they are a more communicative and glued team when Paolo is not on the
Agreed.
floor. And he looks a little lost out there. So I would like to see Paolo in the new environment as well.
And to your point, bro, and for everyone watching to hear our perspective about Paulo, this is not us kicking Paulo to the curb and saying he's not going to be a star and this and that. That's not the
Definitely
case.
not.
But I think the days of where if you get a star or a young star, a rising star like Paulo in the draft, it feels like you don't always have to keep these guys because we're seeing these type of guys honestly come in at a high rate now. Like
Yep.
this draft, I'm serious, man. This draft class, this may be one that we're going to talk about for a while.
Yep.
And I'm like talking about like your top 10 picks, maybe 15, all lottery may have the chance to be a star in the NBA. And it just takes the right person to come in to change the right system. And to your point again with Paulo, I just don't see the fit anymore.
Yeah. It's
He's
not
a
there.
boss. It is similar to me kind of with Giannis, but Giannis is really a point forward. So that's why he's able to make it work. Like Giannis, you need Dame and Giannis didn't work because Dame is not a facilitator and Giannis needs the ball in his hands.
Yes.
And Paulo, to me, it's still hard to understand his playing style. It just seems like it just does not fit. I don't know how I can describe it, but the
He
cohesiveness doesn't seem there in Orlando all the way.
he almost reminds me of like a new age Chris Webber.
A little bit, yeah.
Or if Chris Webber was given the allowance to had a ball in his hands a little bit more and to
Mm-hmm.
play make a little bit more, maybe this is how he would have
The
looked.
version. Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, I don't think that style of, power forward is still relevant in today's game.
Now, this is kind of sidetracked. Do you think that style of play will kind of come back? Because I'm also looking at this draft again with guys like Caleb Wilson, Koa Pete.
Cam
Those guys are
Wilson,
almost like true
power
fours.
forwards.
Like they're like traditional fours that we've seen. They can shoot it, but they're not. And maybe just because at the college level they are just dominating the paint, they're dunking everything. They ain't even trying to get to certain spots and shoot shots. They just bullying past everybody. But it looks like we have some traditional type of guys in this draft, and I'm wondering, does that kind of help change? And it's another conversation we'll get into later about position
Hmm.
with basketball. But do you think that may help him maybe in the future if that kind of changes again? Or does he just need to develop his game a little bit differently?
Well, I think both things can be true. I think that there's
Mm,
still a lot of room for growth and development for Paolo specifically. But
mm,
to your point, basketball is a ebbs and flows type of game.
yeah.
The style of game transitions and it comes in cycles in and out of style, similar to
Hmm.
fashion. And so I think that there could be a future where we start to see the old school back to the basket forwards and bigs
Yeah.
still relevant, especially because of guys like Nikola Jokic and Al Prince and Goon. A lot of these overseas
Mm,
guys, because of their footwork and their skill set that they have very early, even Wemby,
mm,
I think it's going to force some of the American bigs to mirror that in the way that we
yeah.
used to. And so
Hmm.
I would look forward to seeing what an NBA will look like where you have a traditional back to the basket forward, but non-traditional guards.
Yeah.
And then how do you make that work schematically?
Hmm.
So I'd be interested to see what that looks like. But for the time being,
Agree.
I still think Paolo is somebody who probably needs a
Okay.
new change of scenery. And then that leads into my last guy, Demonis
Hmm.
Sabonis, because he is kind of a
Yes.
traditional big. And I think
Hmm.
that he has a skill set that would
He's so
help really
valuable, bro.
any team. Yeah, like
He's
there's
very
so much that
valuable.
he's capable of doing. He's a low maintenance superstar or star. And see, he's just somebody else who also needs a new change of scenery. I feel like Sacramento's becoming a
Mm.
new location for careers to go to die.
Bro, like, and I'm even thinking, I know Pacers, everything worked out with them getting Pascal Siakam, but I would have loved to see that tandem with Tyrese and also Sabonis. I think that would have worked very well, just as
Yep.
him and Siakam has worked out. Maybe a little bit differently because Pascal gonna get you. He gonna go get a bucket. Sabonis is gonna get his off the glass and get you a bucket, which is still a bucket nonetheless.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I'm not mad at those at all. A couple others I have. We talked about it and discussed it in the trade, but Laurie Markkinen averaging almost 28 points, 10 boards, and Utah to me, man, you need a special type of team for Utah to really be talked about.
Yeah.
And I don't know what direction they're going. They have a lot of guys on that team. They got a lot. They
The
got
talent is
Bryce.
definitely there.
The talent is there, but it's just like I think you all need to figure out where you're gonna go. Like they had Colin Sexton. Was Am I tripping? Was Colin Sexton there
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
Colin Sexton was there? We thought he was gonna be there. Then they got rid of him. Jordan Clarkson. He just went there and got buckets, but I'm glad he's in New York now. But to me, I would just love to see Laurie go play some winning ball. I'm not saying exactly where I would put him. I got some ideas, but I don't want to discuss that right now. But Laurie, nonetheless, but I think he's somebody that I don't want to see waste his talent on what he's doing because I think he can still be 22 and 10 guy. Maybe
For
not
sure.
28, but a 22 and 10 on a contending team.
For sure.
Um,
Yeah.
is
Put up a
there
lot of
any
empty
matter of
stats
fact?
over there, Utah.
Is there any teams before I get to my last person? Is there any teams that you think that you would like to see Laurie at?
Damn, that's a great question.
Got a pretty hefty contract. I think, yeah, he's at
Mm,
46, year 246, and 49 and 53.
damn, so he's kind of expensive.
Hmm.
Ooh, that's a good question, bro.
Kind of.
That's a good question. Um, Maybe a Middleton team that's in a rebuild stage.
Hmm.
Like as obscure as it may sound, coming off of my tongue, even a place like Washington, where now you
Yeah,
pair
if
him
they
with Trey
could,
Young.
with Trey. Hmm.
Because how old is Laurie?
Oh, he may only be like
He
27.
between okay,
He
so
may
I
only be
think
like
him and Trey are
27.
around the same age.
Hmm.
I mean, you're talking
Both veteran
about
players.
who've been around
But
the
that's a heavy
league.
cap, though. That's heavy cap on that
It
roster.
is. But but one of those types of teams, somebody who's
Yeah.
kind of in the middle of a rebuild, but
But you still
looks
got young
like
players.
there's something on the horizon. Yeah, that could
Yeah.
potentially happen.
I'm not mad at that, actually. And you're in the East. It's not like you got to put that
It's a
roster
moderate
together and compete in
market.
the West.
That too.
I'm not mad at that.
So I mean, that's just again off the cuff.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not mad at that, bro. And the last person I have is Giannis. To
Yeah.
me, I'm a big fan, bro,
Yep.
of if you
Gotta
have
stay
done
in one
something
spot.
somewhere, I'm okay with you staying in one spot. Even if it doesn't work out, you don't get a ring. Like Devin Booker, again, we've talked about him so much. Like, you need to stay in Phoenix. Don't ever leave.
Yeah.
Unless it's just somewhere you want to go back. Because I think he's from Michigan. If you want to go back home and go to Detroit later on, cool, so be. I don't think any Phoenix Suns fan is going to be mad at that. But you can tell the love is different there. Now, I'm not
Right.
saying that the Milwaukee community doesn't love Giannis, but it also almost seems like Milwaukee's like, bro, we almost want to see you go be
Go somewhere
successful.
else.
It just feels different. It's like I never heard Book complain about or make any type of
That's a
hints
really
or
good.
gestures
That's a
that he
really
was
good
trying
point.
to leave Phoenix. You hear this, you've almost been hearing this the last few years with Giannis. Like, one minute is like, we need to do something, we got to shake something up, and then it's, I'm never leaving, I would never disrespect. Like,
Damn near
and
since
then he talked about the
Budenholzer left.
attention. Yeah, and
Yep.
it's like, then he talked about some, hottest commodity right now. And I know he's joking and baiting the media and stuff like that. But it's like, for what? I know he's a winner. I'm never going to question that. He plays hard every single game. He's cut from that same cloth as Kobe, as Russ. Like, those guys are just, they want to win at whatever cost it, as whatever it takes. But he is somebody. I'm tired of the noise. I don't know who they're going to get to bring there, because I don't know. I didn't. You got to have the right people around Giannis. Like, to find a Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton right now, like
Ooh.
that's tough. Like that, but that was the match made in heaven for them. Drew didn't need the ball, but he's an excellent player. Chris was just gonna get a bucket. You didn't even do anything else. You didn't get a bucket, close out games. But he's almost like in that sense of scores like Katie, where he doesn't
Mhm.
need to take 100 dribbles to get a shot. So Giannis is my last guy. I'm like, you know what? I want to see him leave.
Yeah, I think again, like Paolo, I just think the relationship is running its course in Milwaukee.
Yep.
They'll always appreciate him and revere him for what he did in Milwaukee. But
Mm.
I think he has a lot of basketball left, man. It needs to be played somewhere where he can consistently
Yep.
compete, for
Yep.
the championship. So yeah, we gotta get Giannis somewhere, man.